They just want you to sit in your chair and go, hip hip hooray, for the Western press and the Western narrative. Regurgitating the same old, every single day, without question. Please watch the first two episodes, the second series. Look at that.
Absolutely fascinating.
And it was the first time the Beatles had really stopped being semi-professional almost.
Good evening, everyone. I put a cushion under me, and it's so awkward. Honestly, it's not. You see, I've got a movable chair, and there's no little clips on it that can make it stationary. And you should have seen me sitting on it. It's going all over the place. It's terrible. God blimey, and I'm all awkward on it as well. God bless it. Honestly, it's just sitting on a stupid bloody thing. Jeff Ellison. Meow, mate. Jeff Ellison. Hello, Frank. Hello, Jeff. I like your little post that you put on. You know that I don't go on Facey. But when I do, I see a few little posts about you. The Reds, the Motley Crew going everywhere, all over the country. I love it. Really love it. Good lads, as you know. Well, they're your mates and the best away fans, in my opinion, in the world, to be honest. So it's good when you put them up. It really is. Well done, Jeff. Well done, mate. Glad you popped in and to say hello. Really am. And Johan, good evening, Frank and Legends. Hope everyone is well. Happy weekend, everybody. Yeah, isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Hey. I've been looking at some stuff, going over a few things. You know what's going on in the bloody world today. And Lily, is that Lily? Lily. Hi, Frank. Hello, Lily. How are you? It's just Lily, isn't it? God, blood. Don't say I've got to put my bloody reading glasses on already. Hate wearing these. Yes. Lily. Hello, Lily. Hope you're well, sweetheart. I really do. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining us. The mince pie man himself, Tony. Evening, Mr. Carlyle. Evening, Tony. Good man, Tony. Big Reds as well. We're all big Reds here, except our Johan. But he's another big Red, you see. He's the brother from another mother, shall we say. Good lad. And Callum. Might be able to get an opinion this week without getting insulted by a certain person. Who's insulted you? Let me know. Nobody insults any of our chatters. Nobody. Only me. I get insulted. The beautiful Bella. Ciao Franco. E tutti. And everyone hope you well. And ambidextrous got things for you, sweetheart. You know, you wasn't on the other night. I've got you these out that you can have. All short stories, which are brilliant. Got you that. Christopher Dolly's a great editor. And again, Christopher Dolly, great editor. Wonderful short stories there for you, though. If you want them, that is. And my old mate, Steve Evans. I don't know what this fella's going to say, you know. Starmer can jog on with his... It's horrible. It's horrible what he's doing. It's horrible. You know, he's trying to put us over about illegal immigrants, saying, you know, oh, he won't be able to get a job. Well, he can go fuck off. I'm sorry to swear right away. Because you know what it means, don't you? You know what? See, for years in Utah, you know, the Mormons have got they've got your name, my name, and everybody else's name around the world. You know that, don't you? They've got all these names. And what they're trying to do now, I'm not saying the Mormons, by the way. I'm saying America. America wants every single person digitalized. Do you ever remember when that Soros came out, I think it was last year, and he said, we have a plan. I don't know whether it was a slip up or what, to inject people with a chip, and they won't know that they're getting it. You know, you could be going for the flu jab, you could be going for any jab, you know, whatever it is, and you could be one of them. That's what he said. And this is what this is all about. Believe you me, this is what this is all about. They have you banged to rights. And it's dangerous. If you've ever read 1984 by Orwell, if you've ever read that, do you ever remember when the character, I forget the character, but John Hurt in the film, he opens up, he's looking at a book and he sees this page and he said, these are stuck together. And he opens it up. And do you know what words is there? I don't know whether you realise. And you're going back to when that was printed in 1948. 1948. And it's got oligarchism, collectivism. That's what it's there. In 1984, he's talking about oligarchs. And oligarchs, as you know, are wanting to rule the world. You've only got to look at the EU today and von der Leyen. You've only got to look at her and the rest of the cronies, unelected bureaucrats. Who put them in power, by the way? Have you got any idea? Well, it was the World Economic Forum, because they want to control everything. Everything. And they are controlling everything. Remember when I said about 1999 and the big plan? But that Clark came out with, that General Clark, that stupid, the big American, when he said, we have 5 countries in the Middle East, 2 in Africa, to destabilize the whole of the Middle East. and he named them. He named them, and the last one he named was Iran. What's happening now with Trump and Iran and Israel? What's happening? Hey, he's already through Saddam Hussein out. He's already through Muammar Gaddafi out. He's got rid of Bashar Assad. They're the destabilisations of those countries. Libya is a failed state. Iraq is a failed state. And look who's in charge of Syria. A terrorist. This is America for you. This is America for you. He was in the fucking White House. Shaking hands. Al-Jilani. There was an open contract on him for $10 million. He's the fucking president. America's made him a president of Syria. A fella who chopped heads off. See what he's been saying. Faster tortoise. All right, everyone. Are you faster? Are you, mate? And Callum says, begins with S. He got legged last week. That poor Callum. The red man. And Steve says, jog on, I mate. No, you don't. You mean that other word, don't you? That other little terminology. It's only a 4-letter word, and it begins with F and ends in a K. Doesn't it? I know what you mean, Steve. I know what you mean, mate. I know, thank you. Check your email. You haven't sent one to this. I'll get Jason to forward it on to me, because I don't get onto that. The emails on here, but I will get onto it, Ambi. Promise you. I'll get Jason to put me onto them. I can't access them for some reason, believe it or not. Gary. Here he is. Gary the Rigby. Even Frank, I'm going out tonight. Oh, you always say that. But I'll definitely catch up tomorrow. Just want to say there's a franchise called Liverpool Fried Chicken in Indonesia. They have one in London by Millwall. Go away. Liverpool Fried Chicken. I won't be doing a show tomorrow morning, the film and TV review, Gary, just in case you're still in. I'm doing it on Sunday morning. I'm doing it instead because I have to go shopping tomorrow with my daughter. She's coming for me and I'm going shopping. So I won't be doing the show tomorrow. She's coming for me at 11 o'clock. But I'll be back on Thursday, Sunday, 10:30, usual time for the film and TV review. You won't like that. Do you mean down in Millwall? And Lily says, love you, Frank. Oh, thank you, Lily. Thank you. You're the only one who loves me. The only female in the world who loves me. Well, thank you for that. Flattered. And Steve says, lion rat he is. Steve, you see, and as Oscillants, yes, I understand that. They want to complete, I've said it over and over again. Over us, the stories they tell are taller than those skyscrapers in Dubai, mate. Only the other day, only said the other day, Orwell got it right back then. And there's the video of John Lennon saying the world is run by lunatics with lunatic ideology. Yeah, he did say that's why Lennon was killed, by the way. That's why he was killed. And did you know he was against Zionism, Lennon? Because it just started to manifest, Zionism then. Started to manifest. And he knew the score. John Lennon was a very, very intelligent man. I would have loved to have known what his IQ was, to be honest. God blimey, I might have to abandon the cushion. Abandon the cushion. Then my back starts killing me. Oh. I wish there was a little comfort zone for Frank. Well, full of bar steward loons, says Stay. Says as it is, Stay. We'll all forgive you. And Johan says Green Goblin has a bilateral with Al Jalani. Exactly. You can't make this up. Scripts like these would be laughed off in a sensible society. Unfortunately, we live in a clown world. That's all it is, Johan. It is a clown world. I'm telling you now, there's no real politicians. No real politicians. I don't know. I don't think they know what politics is all about. I really don't. The greatest diplomat on the planet today, and he's warned the EU. He's warned them. And that's Sergei Lavrov. He's taken so much stick. Did you hear what that Rutter said about him? He's been a diplomat longer than Christ or something like that. Why bring Christ into it? That's insulting Christianity. It really is. I hope you realise that. This Mark Rutte, who's a complete, utter arsehole. Complete and utter arsehole. How did he get a fucking job? Heading NATO. How? Who made him that? Why? Oh, I couldn't believe that, Callum, when I read that. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. We won't see it. You won't see it. Any of us here won't see it. But I'll tell you right now that in 100 years' time, 22, 25, you will see a whole different Middle East. A totally different Middle East. And the likes of school children will be looking at, in educational things, looking at how the Middle East was. And they'll be saying, how come it's changed? How come it's changed? And as Johan said, you know, about Zelensky and Jelani conflabbing together. These two. Someone said, I couldn't believe what I was reading, you know, I couldn't believe it, that the likes of Zelensky should be put up for a Peace Prize, Nobel Peace Prize. He could have signed a declaration, he could have signed an agreement going back to April 2022, where everything would have been fine. Even Crimea would have still been in Ukraine. And once he wouldn't sign it, that was it. That was it. It was over. It was finished. And since then, he signed, you know, Boris Johnson went over under Biden's orders again, America, and said, tell him not to sign. No peace. No peace with Russia. And once he said that, today, there's 1.9 million young Ukrainians and women, soldiers, dead. So he's got their blood on his hands, without a shadow of a doubt. The world has gone mad. It's not gone mad. It's already been mad. Unfortunately, as I said, there are no politicians. The only decent politician goes back to 1963 with John F. Kennedy. And he was talking about the courage of leaders. And if he was alive today, he'd turn around and say, there is no courageous leaders. I'm talking about the West. I'm not talking about anywhere else. I'm talking about the West. The only fella who stood up was Viktor Orbán. And he is the only one who supported Trump in his election. He's the only one. Every other major politician, every leader throughout Western Europe were going against them, and they were wanting that Kamala Harris. Come on, Kamala Harris. And they wanted her. They didn't want Trump. They were calling him for everything. Everything they were calling him for. And Orbán was the only one who was saying, you know, give the man a chance. He wants to bring peace. I support him. And what does Trump do yesterday? Phoned him up and said, I want you to stop buying Russian oil. And Orbán said, what do you think Orbán said? Are you having a laugh? That would have destroyed Orbán. It would have destroyed his country. It really would have destroyed his country economically. If you've got no energy, you've got nothing. And the same as Fico of Slovakia. Jesus. Sorry about this. Salute. But Tony Blair, it's an absolute disgrace. It's an absolute disgrace. Chiara, or is it a Chiara? You know, said the Italian way. Hello from Ireland. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, arts, birds of peace, everything. Hello, Chiara. Hope you're well. I knew it, a good Irishman. And every time he greeted me, Chiara, he always said, hello there, Frank. Will that be yourself I'm talking to? Every time, for years. Will that be yourself I'm talking to? Yes, Sean, it is. It's me. No one else. And don't forget, I go back to the 80s here. And when I was lecturing about the Irish, because that was one of my lectures about the Irish from 1566 onwards, with Sir Humphrey Gilbert. And I used to say, I don't know about it now, honestly, but 85% of Liverpool blood was Irish, and that was in the 80s. Don't know what it is now. I haven't a clue what it is. No, watch along tomorrow. Says, yeah, I'm doing a watch along tomorrow. That's why I'm going out early. It's for me shopping. I'm going out at 11 o'clock to do my shopping. And, as soon as I get out the car, as soon as I go into the supermarket, Francine goes like that, will you hurry up, Dad? I'm just pushing the trolley in. Will you hurry up, Dad? So I'll be well back, and she wants to watch the game as well. Not with me, She's wanting to watch the game. And Gary said, I'm still here. God, I won't be hungover on Sunday. Oh, stop it. I won't be hungover on Sunday. And Chiara says, love the Scouser accent. Do you? I don't speak with a Scouse accent. I'm a very posh Scouser. Yes, a very posh Scouser. Well, if you believe that, you'd believe anything. Now, we're all very proud of our accent. I've had lots of things about accents, to be honest. Listen, Chiara, I don't know whether you know this name. It's Parlay with Padre. And I did something about the Irish with him a couple of years ago. And I think you'd like it. What I was talking about. The history of Ireland, from what we know, from what I know, and especially here in Liverpool. Padraig Cronin, his name is. And if you're there, get it on YouTube, you'd enjoy it. Honestly, you will. I did that a couple of years ago with Padraig. And he's got a very deep Irish accent as well. Stephen. Good evening. I talk to Mormons. They built those genealogy companies because they can baptize you Mormon after death. Oh, now that the DNA test is its own most essential idea of all men, maybe to sell it. Mormons. They're everywhere, the Mormons. Did you know that Butch Cassidy was a Mormon? And he lived here for 6 months in Liverpool before he went over to the States. He wasn't English. Forget what he was. But him and his family came over, a few other Mormons, wherever they came from, to set sail to America. And he actually stayed here. He was waiting for passage. And excuse me. Every time I come in here, I itch. I don't know what it is. I really don't. Do you think it's got something to do with that? So if I disappear, you know where I've gone, don't you? Steve says, get some cream on. I've got it to stay, honestly, I've got it there. And I put it on the other day. And it's the most, it burns me. And I mean, burns. But also, it's itchy. It tickles. So you've got the juxtaposition between burning and tickling. You can't make that up. And it's horrible. Horrible. I'm fast to say, my theory is that the whole thing is a simulation. You can see the glitches where the stuffy conservatives are getting into bed with the ultra feminists to gang up on the trannies. Yeah. And Johnny Flump, the paracetamol. He's a dangerous man. He's walking away from Ukraine. He's walking away, you know, he's more or less said that. He hasn't said it like I'm walking away. He's just said, I want you, Europe, if Russia are losing the war and they're in terrible economic situation, go ahead. Go ahead and sort them. Because he said, didn't he? He said, they're not moving, are they, really? You know, they're stuck in the one place for 4 years. Our war would have been ended in a week. Can you believe that? If that would have been us, it would have been ended in a week. Afghanistan, how long? And you fucking ran away? 20 years was that? Oh, that's right, yeah, 20 years. Afghanistan. And he's talking about fucking Russia. The Yanks fought these little fellas and girls who had no army, no navy, no air force in jungles. And they were called the Viet Cong. Did they defeat them? No. No. They can't even defeat the Houthis. And do you see what kind of a person this fella is? He's a complete and utter fucking idiot. And he's expecting you and I to believe him. Bewildering, to say the least, bewildering. Just reading weird scenes inside the canyon, Laurel Canyon, Covert Ops, and The Dark Art of the Hippie Dream by David McGowan. I'm being honest, I do literature, Kiara. I've never heard of that, honestly. The dark heart of the hippie dream. Well, the hippie dream was just for peace. We all know that. You've only got to listen to Scott McKenzie and San Francisco, and you see the people. You've only got to look at Woodstock. They were proper people. Love and peace. But the Americans wanted all that changed. They wanted it all changed. And the unfortunate thing is they changed it for the worse, as you see today. Lynn Ellis. I carried an ID card for 22 years, refused to carry one in my latter years. I've never carried one. Never carried one. The only time I ever carried ID was when I was going abroad to Italy. My beloved Italy. And that was a passport. I remember you could get a passport. Does anybody ever remember? You know, if your passport ran out, I always remember this. My passport, 10-year passport ran out. And I was going away the next day. So anyway, you know, when you pack everything in, you've got everything packed, and I went, right. And I always carried a bag, you know, a little bag, you know, around my neck. Around my neck. It was only a little, like a little purse it was, like that it was. And I always had my passport in it. So I got my passport, and you know the way you look at it to see your photograph and how much you've changed within 10 years. And I looked and I went, I said, my passport's ran out. My passport's ran out. And I phoned our care. I said, what can I do? He said, go down to the post office. Get down to Whitechapel. He said, and get a 6-month one. I said, no, you could do that. Ran down, went in, brought me old passport and that, you know, an ID. I brought me birth certificate, you know, with the pyramids on. I said, I was a camp lad for the pyramids, you know, building them. So they looked at me and I got one. A 6-month, or was it a 3-month? I'm not quite so sure. Emergency passport. It's only like a little cardboard thing, you know, that you fold over. That's what it was. But you can't get them anymore. And with these ID things and fingerprints. Anyone upset by it? Yes. Signed the Parliament. I've signed it. And engage with your MPs. I can't. I haven't got an MP because for the first time in my voting years, since I was 18, I didn't vote last year because of the state of this Starmer man and the Labour Party. I don't recognise the Labour Party anymore. I don't recognise them. So I can't engage with my MP because I haven't got one. Evening, Don Franco. Hope you're well, young man, says IBR. I don't know. I don't know whether I'm angry, frustrated, or what, IBR. I really don't. And Foster says the genocides will be remembered for generations. No, it won't. It'll be remembered for years. More you know, see, we'll never forget unless, well, we know who controls the media, from television to the news, you know, the newspapers, film, TV, everything. We know who owns that. Now, they could just say like I wanted to do a documentary and you wanted to do a documentary. And we want to get together and say, well, all right, we'll do a documentary on the genocide that was happening in Gaza. Do you think it'll be allowed? And allowed to go on television or anything? Or if we were film producers, I want to make a film about what was going on in Gaza, the genocide, the killing of people. Do you think that would be allowed? No. No. Would never be allowed. Who'd take the role? Who'd take the role of the producers and the actors and everybody else to do that? No one. Hollywood would just crush you. If you're an artist and the only profession you have is acting, you do as they say. It's like I read something about Independence Day, the film, and the writer, he was writing about a possible alien invasion. And I don't know whether it was CIA or FBI, one of these agencies. And went to the film studios and went out, no, do that, make that into a comedy. We don't want to frighten people. So they made it into a comedy with Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones. See, the only way, I'm made up that my little granddaughter, 13 years of age, knows what's going on. Knows what's going on. I put up a post, it just came up. I was just sitting there last night, and all of a sudden my phone lit up. And it was a memory going back. Someone liked what I put up going back to July the 1st or the 2nd. And it was about a little girl in Gaza. And she was given a little girl, beautiful little girl. Lovely little hair. Dirty. And beautiful eyes. And whoever it was gave her like a lollipop, a big round one. And he gave her it. And she just looked at it. And she looked at fucking hell. Just thinking about it. Just thinking about it. And it killed me. So I shared it yesterday again, last night. Horrendous. And I said then, I hope this little girl survived. This beautiful little child, I hope she survived. Because you see her eyes and they filled up as she was looking at this thing, the first time of generosity she'd seen. Someone gave her a lollipop. Most probably she hadn't eaten. And her eyes filled up with the generosity she'd seen. And I said in my post, I think, could you imagine what she's been witnessing through her own eyes? Slaughter. And then at the end of the post, I put, most probably she's dead. Most probably she's dead. Think about it. I find it rather strange how Russia is sitting back and not taking all Ukraine before the West rearm and regroup. No, they only want that. They're not interested in all of Ukraine, IBR. Honestly, they're not. They're only interested in those oblasts. They're only interested in those oblasts and the Crimea because they had a referendum in these oblasts and they all want to be in the. I always remember when they were having those referendums and the fucking lies and the propaganda that was coming out in the West that they were held at gunpoint by the Russians. You know, the voters. Pathetic. Well, anyway, 99.9% of them wanted to be in the Russian Federation. They didn't want to go in. They don't want to go over to that Lviv because they know after the end of this war, what's going to happen to Lviv. I'll tell you what's going to happen to Lviv. Those Poles are going to take it because that was their land. Lviv is under immense pressure by the Poles. Lots of people don't know that. That doesn't get mentioned. I don't even watch, listen, read anything that the Western press say because it's all a load of lies, propaganda, everything. I'm sorry about this. I've got all this itchy again, every fucking time. So getting back to you, IBR, they don't want us, honestly, but I agree on one thing. I think Putin now should just say, I've had enough of this and just go. Look, if Medvedev was president, don't forget he was president, what would Ukraine be like today? In the first week, what would it have been like? I'll tell you what it would have been like. It would have been flat as an ironing board or flat as a pancake because he would have just gone in and flattened it. And the West don't realise what kind of a diplomatic leader that Putin is. But I think he should now just say, I've had enough of this. I've had enough of, because they're all Russophobes. He should just go in, clear out Kiev, because he can do that anytime. Take Odessa, and that'll be the end of it. Force Zelensky to go. That's what he should do. Now, today. Because he knows that these stupid people in Europe are trying to escalate the war for years. They don't know the history of Russia. They don't know the resolve of Russia. And that Estonia, they're trying to change history, telling. They're trying to change history. They're trying to say, it wasn't the Soviets that, and it was the Soviets who liberated Estonia from the Germans. And they're trying to change it. Like a lot of things are being trying to change in history. Lots of it. A lot of wokeness as well is trying to change the face of history. I could name loads of things. In his last interview, the green, now black goblin on elevated shoes said he cannot see himself governing a country at peace. Well, he said, didn't he? He said, once peace comes, he'll resign. He won't live to see or enjoy, his ill-gotten gains. Ordinary Americans who go to work trying to keep their mortgage going, trying to look after the kids, trying to pay medical bills and medical insurance and whatever, everything they're trying to pay. And yet their taxes is going to the likes of Ukraine and the military complexes. That's where their taxes are going. They are making senators, congressmen, and the likes of the White House very rich people. Very rich. And believe it or not, Israel. Because without America, Israel will be finished. They need America. They need America like we need a spine in our backs. And they are sending pregnant young one. Yeah. I couldn't believe that. Because they have no men left and producing propaganda pieces about it. Have they no shame? No, they've got no shame whatsoever, Johan. They've got no shame. They're sending 60-odd-year-old men to the war. They kidded them. They said, we only want you to be like office boys. As soon as they signed up, they were sent to the front with a gun. 60-odd-year-old men. So, I'm talking about 60-odds, some of them are going into the 70s and 70s most probably. You can't make this up. I said to me mate, Anthony Brown, I said, I wish I knew nothing. I wish I knew nothing. But I go back to the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the coming down of the Berlin Wall and the promises made to Gorbachev by the Americans that NATO wouldn't step any further eastward. So the Russians took them at the word. So when people started to complain about 3 or 4 years ago, the excuse was, the American excuse was this. Oh, there was nothing written down. There was nothing written down. Even if there was anything written down, do you think that they'd take notice of that piece of paper? Nah. No. God blimey, this thing. I'm sorry, I've got to get rid of this. You might think that, I'm sitting all comfortable. I'm not, I'm lopsided. I can't tell you how lopsided. God. Excuse me while I remove this cushion. In fact, I'll show you the cushion. Oh, Jesus. I'm terrified in case this like slides back and he ends up on the floor. El cushion. See how thick it is as well? Fucking hell. Now my back's going to kill me. As it does. Without the cushion. But at least I can sit properly. To me in now. The IBR. Digital IDs will be the stick to force people into the military and into Iran. And spot on. But I think Ukraine will be over by the time these things come out. I really do. It'll be over there. But it'll be other wars. I understand what you're saying because the way this... You've got to look at these unelected bureaucrats in Brussels. They're all Russophobes, every single one of them. They're all ex-Nazis. Look at the family backgrounds. Follow the line ever since the paperclip, Operation Paperclip in 1945. When they were getting all these Nazis out. You know, people don't believe that. They always thought that Germany was denazified. No. They always thought that Russia even thought, well, the Soviet Union thought that Ukraine was denazified. No. Because they've still got their ideology no matter what. And when they have children, they give them their ideology. So they grow up like today, going back to 1945. These people now, these Azovs, they've got their ideology from parents and mates, you know, friends. Know what I mean? It's so sad, you know. We don't realise we're on the precipice with these lunatics in Brussels from a nuclear war. But as was it Putin or someone, or Lavrov, and they turn around, you know, and they said we're fed up with all this Russophobia. Knocking us all the time, telling lies and propaganda. And someone mentioned the Orishnik. Let's just say Poland, for example, you know, the false flag over those drone things. And they said, you know, oh yeah, they'll shoot down at a MiG. They've been promised an Orishnik without a nuclear warhead, because a nuclear warhead can be fitted on the Orishnik, undetectable in the sky, and they don't realise the consequences of a Orishnik missile. They just don't know. Very good accent. Thumbs up from the lovely Chiara. Thank you, Chiara. And the IBR to Johan. It's disgusting, and they are sending over 60s 12 months ago, and it's simply a depopulation program of white Christian population by the smaller hat bankers. I'm glad someone said that, because no one has mentioned the small hats, the tiny hats, because they are. Sorry, what are you sorry for? Don't be sorry to me. Looks like we've lost our little Kiara. Anyway, Frank is Russian, Kiara. I was called a Russian puppet. Honest, no, a Putin puppet. You're a Putin puppet. I said, well, how? Give me the facts that I'm. Well, you're always talking about Russia and like, you know, the winning the war. I said, well, they are. He said, well, you know, you justified them going into to invade. I said, yeah. I said, listen, and I gave them an example. I gave him an example. I said, do you ever remember a place called the Malvinas? And he went, no, the Malvinas, where don't you what? I said, the Falklands, you know about them? He says, yeah, I know about the Falklands, but you said that at the time. I said, well, that's what the Argentinians call it. It's Spanish. Malvinas. Il Malvinas. And he went, well, I said, no, says I. So I said, well, what did we do when General Galtieri sent his troops over to reclaim the Malvinas for his country, because they belong to Argentina, the Falkland Islands? He said, no, they didn't. I said, oh, fucking hell. I said, what did we do? Just tell me. He said, we sent down an armada. I said, precisely. Precisely. Because they wanted to save the British that was on there, didn't they? They went, yeah. I said, well, that's what Russia have done. Russia has gone into Ukraine because ever since 2014, with the overthrow of a legitimate government elected by all Ukrainian people, the Americans under Victoria Nuland, the CIA and MI6 overthrew that government in a coup d'etat. They overthrew them and put in a puppet. Put in a puppet. And what they started doing was shelling the Donbass area where Russian-speaking people lived and Russian culture. They didn't want that. They hate Russia. And these are the Azovs. They started bombing them for years. Putin asked them, will you stop it? He was asking the West, will you stop this genocide? I said, it's not genocide. I said, it was genocide. They were killing men, women, children for not just blowing them up with big bombs and shells. So the militia got involved, the Donbass militia. Then there was a civil war. No one knows about that. But they were getting pummeled. So to save the Russian culture and Russian-speaking people, because churches were being desecrated, the Christian Orthodox Russian church was being desecrated. Russian culture was the burning of books, the arts, everything. Little children had to learn Ukrainian language. That's what was happening in the likes of the Donbass Oblast, the likes of Lugansk. I was losing them. I was just losing them. I have to give up. I said, so he had the right to go in to save his people, just like Thatcher sent down an armada to save British-speaking farmers on the Falklands. Can you get that through your head? That fellow was a good mate for 30 odd years. He hasn't spoken to me since. Whether he could understand what I was saying or he just thought that I was a lunatic. Frank is Russian. But I like that, what you've said there, IBR. Depopulation of a white Christian population. Depopulation of a white Christian population by the small hat bankers. We will have to rename you Posh Franco. Says IBR. Remember when I was getting my little PhD and I was told to lose my accent? That changed my outlook completely when that was said to me. I just thought, oh, so sad. So sad. Faster says Scouse accent will only exist for another 200 years, apparently. Did you know when the Scouse accent came about, by the way? Historically. You'll be surprised. It was just coming into, believe it or not, into the 20th century. Because we spoke like that, Southwest Lancashire accent. But it was the mixture of the Irish and the Welsh. And believe it or not, you're not going to believe it, but it's true. The Norwegians, because the Norwegians always spoke with a nasal accent, and this is what we've got. A nasal accent. Even John Lennon said it. He spoke with an accent, exceedingly rare, nasal. Lennon. Oh. I should look that up. It sounds interesting. Is that with Padre? Yeah. Look it up. Let me know, Kiara, as well. Let me know how you find it when you do look it up, if you ever come back on here again. Because I do history on a Monday. But it's only Liverpool history, but, other things get mentioned as well. And I do football. I do watch-alongs, and I do a film and TV review as well every Saturday morning. But tomorrow, I can't do it. Sunday morning, I'll be doing the film and TV review. And it's good, it's funny. Because some of the pictures, some of the films are shocking. And Callum said, Frank, I'm going to occupy your house because it was promised to me 3,000 years ago. Yeah, I think they were everywhere. They're trying to buy Cyprus. The little lads are trying to buy Cyprus. Have you ever known the likes? And it's being allowed. Well, they own London, don't they? They own London. They own Wall Street. $3,000 years ago. The MI6 have bugged the room with a modern itch variation of the Havana syndrome, Frank. Well, you know who's going to be our new chief next week, don't you? That woman, M. And what was her granddad? All right, she married an Italian, Italian name she's got. I wonder why. But her granddad was known as the butcher of Ukraine during World War II. Our new MI6 head. Just look at the dots. Brussels, mates in Berlin, Germany, right here, London. What are they? What are they? Jeez. I'm Mick Gonzo. Good evening from Poznan, Poland. Nice to be back in a civilized country with almost no woke ideology. You're lucky. You're lucky. You're very lucky. We've got loads of it here. Changing history. I always remember America, and it was the Enigma machine that we've got, to break the codes. The likes of that Turing lad breaking the codes, the German codes, and without the breaking them, we would have still been at war, most probably. And we broke the codes, but the Americans made a film, but they changed history. They said they got it. They got the Enigma machine. You can't make these up. There's murder over that, by the way. The film. And Chiara says, the CIA orchestrated movement. Jim Morrison was the son of a naval captain. That fake Tonkin incident. He knew nothing about music. No interest in music. Never went to concerts. Says Chiara. Yeah, we do know about that, Chiara, to be honest. And Jim Morrison. There's more red flags and fake flags than anything, Chiara. You've only got to look at the USS Liberty and who bombed them. And it was the allies of America. Who are helping out today in a big way. Johan, the book Akiara mentioned detailed CIA operatives around the Manson murders and how Jim Morrison's death on his dad's ship, Admiral Gulf Tonkin incident, retirement, are related. Of course, every death is related. Every death is related to these people. Every death. But this country is going the same, by the way. This country. Did you know that Katie Hopkins got arrested? Did you know that? Did you know that Katie Hopkins got arrested? And she got arrested. Well, she had to go. She never got quite arrested. But they sent her a thing. They said, you've got to come down for an interview. If you don't come down, we'll arrest you. So she went down for the interview. And you know what it was about? You're not going to believe it. You may know, I don't know. It was about what she said about herself. She called herself a spaz because she was, I don't know what's wrong with the girl. But I think it's more than that. I think it's because people are terrified of this Nigel Farage, and she was walking with him. She was walking with Farage on that demonstration. Or whatever they did. And she was leading with that Tommy Robinson fella. I think that's why she was arrested. So be known. You can't get arrested for calling yourself a spaz, surely to God. If it's the case, well, you've got to be very careful. When passports invented on the onset of World War II? Yeah, of course they were. But you have to say, look, passports, you used to have papers. That's all you had. To go to a different country, you had papers. You know, you were given governmental papers. Like visas, you know. Say you wanted to go to Italy or Germany or whatever. This is pre-World War II. And if you wanted to go anywhere in Europe, even over to America, you had to have papers. That's why a lot of sailors couldn't get off ships. Because they didn't have the papers. They were just like stuck on the ship. I'll find my story sometime and read it out one day. Not read it outright in full or whatever, but I'll give you the synopsis of it. Called Murder on the Titanic. Murder on the Titanic. I bet some of those weapons are in hotels in this country, says the IVR to Stephen. I wouldn't take that bet. I know the Goblin is reselling, including anti-air missiles to Mexican cartels. The world gets safer every day. I'm going to go right down, people, to catch up with you. So I'm just going to read out all these, okay? Then I'm up to date with you. Because there's loads. Faster Tortoise says politics is different now. There's no place for boring liberal centrists like me anymore. It's all been taken over by hysterical populists, says the faster. I don't know what I am today, you know. I don't know what I am today. I really don't. I was brought up as socialist. Anyway, Mick says, I think the difference with the Falklands analogy and Thatcher didn't bomb the Falklands into smithereens. Russian bombs don't discriminate between Ukrainian and ethnic Russians. I think we'll stop on that one, mate. I'm sorry, Mick. I think you've got it wrong, mate. I think you should have said it the other way about. The Ukrainian bombs. I've just fucking explained, didn't I, about what the Ukrainians were doing to the Donbass, the people of Donbass. Russian bombs don't. I've had enough of that. Ta-ra. See you, mate. Goodbye. Callum says they have their own neighbourhood called Stamford Hill. Own ambulance, own policeman. Wasn't it Lawrence Fox? Have I missed out a lot here? Callum says, Frank, I can't believe people think it ain't a genocide. It shakes me to the core, that. It shakes me to the core. A new footballer come into it. By Daryl. Get well soon, Giovanni Leone. Yes. Yes. We all wish him well, really. Putin wanted to join NATO when he first came into power, even proposed to Clinton, who was initially positive about the conversation. Then he got the call from the puppeteers. Yes. 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 Can't have Russia joining NATO, or you never laugh. If they would have been in NATO, there would have been no war today. And they would have been terrified in case Russia would have taken over NATO rather than the Americans. Never trust Clintons, any of the Clintons, by the way. Hillary, bad dude here. If F. Carlyle Russian would have happened to be a matryoshka with smaller historians within, one of each occasion. Oh, you makes me wonder what you. I mean, if Mr. Carlyle is a Russian puppet, then no, you see, I balance everything out. I balance everything. I'm neutral when I'm talking about things like that. So I don't like propaganda. I can see propaganda when it's being hitting my face. I could see right through it. I've been trained to see it. Now, propaganda is just blatant lies, and you can see the lies. It's ridiculous. You had that Rutter saying about Modi in India, saying, oh, he told Putin. He was making fucking things up. He's just a liar, trying to be big. They have their own neighbourhood called Stamford Hill, own ambulance. Yeah, oh yeah, you've read that. Lawrence Fox. And Fraser says, I frank and all, yes, socialism of the great Tony Benn. See, they were proper politicians. Proper. They were proper politicians. But unfortunately, I think it was when, what was his name? Cook. Remember, all of a sudden he died like that, didn't he? Roger Cook. Not Roger Cook. Oh, what was his name? The MP. He used to go hiking. He was a very fit man, then all of a sudden he died. Something dodgy then, even that, something dodgy about that. And when LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, asked Harold Wilson, I want your boys in Vietnam, he said, my boys are not going to Vietnam. You're there, you fucking stick with it. I'm not sending my lads there. It's your bed, lie in it until it's over. And what happened to right after that? All of a sudden, Harold Wilson resigned. And Jim Callaghan took over. Do you see what I mean about the influence of America going back? It was like Arnhem, believe it or not. And Patton says, the bridge too far. And it was Montgomery's idea. And General Browning, if we take Arnhem, we're in Berlin. And Patton has a words with Eisenhower. And he said, listen, if this succeeds, we'll be kissing the arse of the Brits forevermore. And he stopped. Eisenhower stopped there. Going in, and they could see the gunfire, hear the gunfire 3 kilometres away, and they turned back. Think about it. The first false flag on records was done by Jews in Judea so people would turn against the Roman administration. So I read. There's always been, I always remember Marsala. Marsala was one of the greatest Roman achievements. And it was against the Jewish people. All the snides up on this fucking mountain. Big hill. All the Jewish people. And throwing rocks down. Cover that. You're looking at the Romans. And he said, shall we leave them there? We'll just starve them out. He said, no, let's fucking get them. And what they did, they built up. There's the mountain, and they were building up. There's them up there. There's the Romans. I can't do it. Let me take that off. Give you a better thing. There's the Romans down there. There's these Jewish people in this compound. Doing snidey things like whatever. So they said, "Shall we starve them out? We can just stay here. They'll fucking never get any food." Or he said, "No, let's get them." And they just went to. Started to build up until they got right outside the complex and went in, sorted them. Or they went in to sort them. Guess what they did, the Jewish people? Guess what they did? You're right. You remember Jonestown where they poisoned themselves? That's what they did. Poisoned them. Cowards. We don't need to label ourselves, Franco. I'd be called a treacherous mank by simply being here by so-called top devils. We know better. Love unites, hate divides, but knowledge enlightens the mind. Thank you, Johan, for enlightening us with that wonderful little comment. Beautiful. I went to see Tony Benn speak a couple of times in the mid-200s, I think. Says faster. Do you know any first time he ever came to Liverpool? He came out at the side where the Empire is, and Maharaji's at the back. And when he went down there, he never came out at the front of Lime Street Station, but he came out that side and he walked down. He was with people, people greeted him. And because there was a load of photographers, why am I doing that? I don't know, but I'm doing it anyway. And there's a load of photographers at the entrance of the station, Lime Street Station. The front of it and at the side, but this side where the Empire is, there's no one there. And he said, "Yeah, come out this way." So anyway, he walked down and he couldn't believe his eyes. When all of a sudden, what appeared in front of him was St. George's Hall, and he looked over and he went, "Whoa." And he's seen all the neoclassical buildings for the first time in his life. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe the beauty of Liverpool. Could Tony. And Stepan says, "The puppet and Russian doll comment was a joke, of course. Labels must be mocked for what they are. Laughable." Yes. Tony Benn had the honour and integrity, unlike the current shower of this lot, says the IBR. Yes, he has integrity. He cares about you, me, and everybody else. And yet he was from a privileged background. Lord Stansfield, and he relinquished his title. But his son, Hillary, he's got it. Hillary, he's Lord Stansfield today. He'd have to come from a background like that, wouldn't it? His dad, Benjamin, and Hillary. How many working class people do you know named Hillary? You can imagine me as a 19-year-old going to one of my mates. Is Hillary coming out? And the Indians told Rutter to be more informed and not make up false stories. Imagine how embarrassing it must have been for us. He's got, he's got no embarrassment in him. He doesn't know any. NATO see up there to be sat down by an Indian minister, not even Modi. Yes, to be sat down, pulled down. Yeah, Robin Cook died suddenly in somewhat mysterious circumstances. And do you know what? It was all like, at the time it was, Robin Cook's dead. Oh, great man. And all of a sudden, it was brushed under the carpet. I always say about John Smith as well, Always say about him. Because who did they get in? Blair. Everything is planned. Believe it or not, everything is planned. As I said, I went back to 1999 and that Clark thing to destabilise the Middle East and destabilise Europe, and it's worked big time. It's worked. Because what's going on in Europe, I'm not talking about Brussels, I'm not talking about those clowns. I'm talking about ordinary people. France here, Sweden, Norway. Finland hasn't seen anything yet, but they will. Austria's seen it. Austria's seen it. When people were gathering, was it last New Year's Eve? And, in their main squares, and because that's what you do. And then all of a sudden, there was lots and lots and lots of sexual assaults. But it happens in Germany too. But nothing gets mentioned. Can you tell us about the mast of the Great Eastern at Anfield? As it was bought by Everton FC, but what was the story of who played and how the team formed at Anfield? Yeah, it's one of the masts of the Great Eastern. And when you see the ground, when Everton left, no, I'm sorry, wasn't there. But we had it, and we put it up. Not Everton. Everton, Liverpool was formed in 1892, and we just had the ground. The ground was cinder. You stood on cinders. Then we tried to do it out. And now, but it's such a great thing to have the Great Eastern Mast. One of the greatest ships ever made. And the ship that lays out the transatlantic cable. Isambard Kingdom, Brunel. So that you know, basically, you know, it was nice to see 80% of the UN General Assembly. Yeah, and he left the room. Yeah, when he walked in to give a speech. Yeah, the times they are a changing, as Bob Dylan sang. What about Zelensky? No one was there, and in the Ukrainian papers they were doing an IA where they're all an AI where the people it was full when he was giving a speech. No one was there. It was empty. No one wanted to know. No one wanted to know. He's the darling of everywhere now. And he's worse than Zelensky, by the way. And it's that Al-Jalani. Think about it. Al-Jalani, fella who chopped heads off and still doing it today. As they're greeting him and going like this, and he won't allow, have you noticed, he will not allow a woman to come up to him. And this is democracy. He will not allow a woman to come up to him. A lady, you know, won't shake hands with them or nothing. And this is what you've got. And as they're greeting him and everything and sitting down, and that Petraeus, what a fucking horrible prick he is. Sorry, I have to swear like that. General Petraeus, who ran away from Afghanistan. A failed general, greeting him, talking to him. A failure, big failure. While the first Christians and other Christians are being slaughtered on the day by Al-Jalani's men. Erdogan's doing nothing to help them. It's shocking what's going on. Shocking. And they're greeting them. Did you know about 4 Americans being killed in the Lebanon through an Israeli attack? 3 of them were children. And they don't say anything. They haven't said a word. The Yanks. That's how bad it is. See, there's other wars for Trump. He's an incomplete. I don't like talking about him, you know. I really don't. The Orange Man. He's got battleships facing Argentina. What are they there for? Why are they there? Oh, hang on. Yeah, they've got more oil than Saudi Arabia and gold mines and precious stone mines. Yeah, I forgot about that. Do you think Maduro's just going to sit back like Noriega when they invaded Panama? What right do they have to invade sovereign countries and take out the leaders? That's what they've been fucking doing for years. And putting people in who prefer the West, not the West America. I'm just made up, made up that Oban just told him to Trump when he said, I want you to stop buying Russian oil. He went, oh, fuck off. No chance. They had to AI the crowd and he laughs, says, yeah, they did. You can't make it up. Is it the Syrian fella? Do you mean Jelani? Jelani was, well, he still is, head of ISIS and Al Qaeda. The Islamic State is still going. That's why they're still killing people, chopping heads off and hands and things and feet as punishments, mainly to Christians, and they're greeting them. Faster. Al-Jalani. Al-Bashir Assad. I'm sorry. Bashir Assad was thrown out of his country. And I keep telling people, all the propaganda against the man and his, his regime, his government, it's all bollocks. They said that he was barrel bombing the population, and he wasn't. It's all been defunct now. And they've been trying to get them out for fucking 20 years. 20 years, and he succeeded. No, 25 years, ever since 1999. Get rid of him. Get rid of Saddam Hussein. Get rid of Muammar Gaddafi. And all the bad press about those lads and their countries. I always remember reading John Pilger for the Daily Mirror. Well, it wasn't, it was the Sunday Mirror at the time. And he was talking to this girl, I think it was a week into the Iraqi war. And she was just sitting outside her home. She said, I was a medical student. My little brothers were playing football over there. 18 years of age. She said, I want to be a surgeon. She said, that'll never achieve that now. We'll be going back to the old days, what she meant, like the medieval times. Whether the girl's dead, I don't know. But if she isn't, she'll be wearing all this stuff. Isn't it symbolic? The greatest ship ever built in London ended in Liverpool after laying one of the great technical advancements. Last piece is now at Anfield. Incredibly strong symbol. But I could show you the mosaic. And I have shown it on one of my DVDs of the Great Eastern. So we've got it, we have it here. People were scared of it because it was iron. And it still had sail just in case they ran out of coal for the steam. And when they did run out of coal, sparks used to come out of the chimney, the funnel. And at the sail, and they used to catch fire, and people wouldn't go on it. They were terrified. Passengers, it'll burn down and whatever. And that's why it's birthed here in Liverpool and became the transatlantic cable layer. In a nutshell. And you know, when Frank Trump was caught talking into a hot mic in 2018, why are we fighting Syria for their oil when Venezuela is in our backyard? Yeah. Yeah. Anyone who has resources. This is why they wanted to go. This is why they wanted to poke Russia into submission, so that they could get that Navalny, a fella who wasn't known. People say, people I talk to, so-called friends. Of course, he was known, Navalny. I said, well, how was he known? Well, we know him. I said, yeah, because you listen to fucking ITV and BBC. That's how you know. Less than 2% of the Russian people, and there's 360 million there, knew of him. He didn't know him. And he was a fraud, he was a thief. Did you know that? No, he wasn't. Yeah, he was. And they wanted to put him in. So they had already a puppet lined up to take over Putin. But they don't do the homework about big nuclear powers. And they want to take on China. For God's sake, think about it. They can't take on the Houthis. They want to take on Russia and China. It's a joke. If I was an ordinary American sitting there listening to these prats and knowing what we know, wasn't Vietnam thing enough? Wasn't Afghanistan? Only the dead have seen the end of the war. Plato. Yeah. There's a great poem by, he died 3 weeks after. And it goes, in Flanders fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row upon row to mark our place. And in the sky the lark bravely singing amid the guns below. We are the dead. A few short days ago we lived, saw sunsets glow, loved and were loved, and now we lie here in Flanders fields. So Plato was right. They seen the end of the war. And Johan, freezing fighting Navalny. Yeah, right. And if you see what the Yanks are putting, but it's all hushed up now. His wife is in exile, waiting in exile. Yeah, okay. Well, he was going to corporatize everything for the Americans. They were all going to go in. A fella named Bill Browder was chased out by Putin when he became president. Some American. He went, fuck off, get out. Because he was stealing all the fucking resources. Chased him. And he hates Putin. Fucking hates him. He said he killed my lawyer. Yeah, okay. Why didn't Putin jump to save Syria? Do you know, he couldn't. He's fucking at war. He's at war. Faster. He's at war. They've got a base there and they're trying to get him out. The Americans are trying to get him out of Syria. And They're saving the Christians. They're all making their way there to that base. The Christians, before they get fucking killed by this Al-Jawani and his fucking tribe. Couldn't really do anything. This is why they want to keep them occupied. Russia. It's one of the reasons. Escalate the war. Because once this fucking war is over, you will see a very, 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 very different Russia. Looking at the West. And America especially. Do you think an ordinary Russian sitting in Moscow or St. Petersburg or Siberia or anywhere else is not listening to what these Americans are saying and what the West is saying and what that fucking Carlyle is saying and von der Leyen is saying and mates? They get all the information. They be going, what the fuck are these? Salute. You see, as you said, Faster, why didn't Putin jump in to save Syria? Did he weigh it up and decided it was too much? Of course, because what was going on at the time, don't forget he brought Bashar al-Assad over. He brought Bashar al-Assad into Russia. He's given him a political asylum. And he doesn't trust Erdogan. He humiliated Erdogan a few years ago over something. And he warned them again because he gave them prisoners, as of prisoners. He said, I want you to hold them to Erdogan. Putin said. He said, okay, and fucking set them free. And he was fucking murder. But Erdogan, he said, you better fucking behave yourself, you. Do you ever remember the bombings going on in Turkey a few years ago? Just a few years ago. 4 or 5 years ago. Who do you think they were? They were little false flags. They were the Americans. Trying to bring Erdogan down. I'm telling you now. And your answer for the fact that Russia raised Assad till the last day of his regime. They didn't want to escalate the conflict in the Middle East, knowing it would lead to world war. Yeah, wouldn't it, with the US and Israel involved. And so Assad fled to Russia, by the way. Yep. The goblin just accused now Hungary of sending drones in Ukraine must have got some exceptional powder from the macro and co. See, that's why Zelensky is a very dangerous man, and someone should take him out, I'm being honest. Get rid of him. Very dangerous man. Like that Gonzo fella before, when he said about, big difference between the Falklands, and there's Russia bombing Russian civilians and Ukrainians. Yeah, okay. Okay, fella. And you've only got to look at I don't think he has a fucking clue, the lad. I think he's been wherever he's been, looking at the news. He's been looking at the fucking Western news and nothing else. Because who's been committing the atrocities? Zelensky. Who's been committing atrocities in Russia with assassinations? Zelensky. Has anybody ever said anything about Gonzalo Lira, the American journalist, being tortured and fucking killed in a Ukrainian jail? No. That's what the Americans are like. Someone did a cartoon of Putin and Al-Assad watching the Goblin and Jelani shaking hands. They've still got that Snowden. Yeah, Edward Snowden. They were fucking trying to get him. The Yanks, the CIA, even the MI6 were after him as well. Because he fucking blew the gaff on them all. He blew them all up. Yeah, this is what's going on. And did you ever see what was going on? Did you see any of the footage? Shocking it was, what those gunboats were doing. You know, those helicopter gunboats. And you see a wedding. And you see these fellas coming out of the wedding and they're just mingling around, as you do. As you do. It's like when we have a wedding and, you go back to the house and all the fellas go in the back kitchen for some reason, but for the beer. And these fellas were just outside. And they just fucking shot them. Machine gun them. Kill them all. That's just the footage. One footage. This is what they're up to. And about the covert operations. And Johan says, Macron must have that strong C to get over the fact that his first lady is Queen Elizabeth in disguise. Bella's leaving us. Buonanotte, Franco and Totti. Have a great weekend. You too, Bella. You too, sweetheart. And Stefan. EU still can't explain how drones with 400 kilometre range crashes 1,200 kilometres away in Poland or worse, hovers over airports in Denmark. People need to think more for themselves, but they don't. And I'll tell you for why the fucking thick. They were just killing people with no accountability. He had to leak the videos. And of course. It's like anybody else, these whistleblowers. Julian Assange. And he was in jail for 10 years without trial. This is what this country's all about. Now, I tell you, one of the worst fellas, he hardly ever gets mentioned. He hardly ever gets mentioned. And he was one of the worst, if you call him a politician, I don't know. And that was that Mike Pompeo. Fucking horrible him. Now you've got another divvy named Hesketh, a fucking newsreader. That's what I mean about politicians. There's a fucking newsreader, a politician. Defence of War. He's the Secretary of Defence. War. Changed it to war. What does that tell you? Greasy head. Escort. And he's called all his generals from all over to Virginia to give them a talk. What's he going to talk about? Fuck knows. And on that score, I'm going to leave it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me tonight. I've really appreciated it. And I'll be doing a watch along tomorrow. I'll be doing a pre-match. So I'll be on at 2:15. Watch along at 3. And my back's going. And a post-match. And if you can't join me for that, if you join me on Sunday morning, 10:30, for the wonderful film and TV review where everything goes. Oh, me bum. Fucking hell. The IBR. Excellent show, Don Franco. Thank you, IBR. You're right. You're right. He did. He did. I think, do you know what? I think it was lasered off, you know. I think he had it lasered off. White supremacist. He's a white supremacist. Escort. He's a greaseball. With his head. Horrible. Hasn't a fucking clue. Fucking newsreader. And he's giving out policies. Beaters says the faster. Thanks, Foster. And freedom. Cheerio, Frank, and everyone. Yes. Do you know what? My tongue is still sore. Honestly, it's still sore. Have you ever... Johan. Thank you, Frank and Legends, for the brilliant show. Oh, thank you, Johan. Good luck for the game. Thank you. See you, Legends, tomorrow. Have a great weekend, everyone. Oh, thanks, mate. Thank you. And you too. Good luck with your game as well over the weekend. Jesus. Have you enjoyed it tonight, though? You know, whoever's there, have you know. Another win without midfield tomorrow. Yeah, got no fucking midfield. I play Jones tomorrow. Scouser in the team. And on that layer note, I'm going to finish, people. Thanks for joining me, as I said. Every time I drink water, I get the hiccups. Strange that, isn't it? Hiccups with water. I ate something today. I think it has a little chocolate like a little Mars bar sorted out, but that little thing like that, little Mars bar, and I ate that, and I've been thirsty ever since. I didn't know chocolate makes you thirsty. Anyway, that's me done. I'm gonna go down, sit in my little chair, watch the telly, get changed, you see. Get changed. And loved it, says you. Look forward to our CA convo every. Thank you. Thank you. Get the tooth edge sort of, Frank. Must be eating you. It is. And you know what it is? You know, I have to take tablets of a night and of a morning, especially of a morning, 3. Now, when you take a tablet, your tongue, you don't realise when you're taking a tablet or whatever, that your tongue does all the work to get the tablet down there. And with the jagged edge, fucking hell. I just don't look forward to take my tablets, but I have to take them. I've got to take one tonight. And I ditched the jagged edge, at the side. And the front. And thank you for that, Johan. For that little advice. I have to get it out sooner rather than later. I have to go private because there's no dentists anymore. The NHS is privatised now. And on that little note, I'll see some of you tomorrow. See some of you on Sunday morning. And some of you on Monday night for the history show. Me and Good night, everybody. Thank you. Ciao.